Welcome to this Nugget series on project management and preparing for and passing your project management professional exam, the PMP exam. Introduction to this Nugget series, I think we need to spend some time talking about what is project management. Very simply put, project management is the application, it is the application of the skills and the methods of project management that's going to allow you to deliver projects that are on time, on budget, and to specification. Sounds simple enough, doesn't it? Well, it is and it isn't. What is project management? Again, it's the application. It's not just the knowledge. You are not a successful project manager. You're not going to pass your PMP if all you have is book-learned knowledge. Project management is all about the application, putting the skills and the methods to work to ensure that your projects deliver on time, on budget, to specification. And as I said, it really is simple. You manage projects every day. Each and every one of you listening to this Nugget series manage projects on a daily basis. Let's look at a project. You can define a project as getting to work on time. So it's your job to manage getting to work on time. In order to manage getting to work on time, you develop a project plan. At 6 o'clock, the alarm. 6:10, shower. By 6:30, you're out of the shower and you're dressed. By 6:45, you're having breakfast. By 7:15, you're walking the dog. By 7:30, you have the kids' lunch for school. And by 8 o'clock, you're on time. So that's your project plan to get to work. You start to deliver to your project plan. At 6 o'clock, the alarm rings. And oh man, you don't feel like getting up. You're tired. You want to snooze a little bit more. So you go through and you analyze your project plan and says, what can I cut? How can I change my project plan that's going to allow me to get to work on time and still hit the snooze button one more time? And you think about it and said, I think I'll skip breakfast today. I was planning to have a nice full hot breakfast, but I'm just going to grab a muffin on the way out the door and eat in the car on the way to work. So you change your project plan. 6:10 is now alarm time, and everything else is going to change down the road. So you've modified your project plan, and you start down the road. It's now 6:20, and you're in the shower. Things are going good according to the modified plan. At 6:40, you're out of the shower and you're dressed. 6:45, or actually it's now 6:55, well, breakfast has been eliminated, so we're actually now ahead of schedule, and we're at 6:05, we're walking the dog. Things are going good. The dog has a nice walk. You get your morning exercise. 7:25, because again, we're now 5 minutes ahead of schedule, you go to get the kids' lunch. And then disaster hits. There's no bread. There's no sandwich meat. There's no anything. You're not going to be able to get the kids' lunch on time to get out the door and get to work. So again, you have to make modifications. The kids' lunch isn't going to happen. You dig some dollars out of your pocket or your purse. You say, kids, you're going to have to eat lunch in the cafeteria today. You get yays all over the place. And the kids get out the door, catch the bus to school. You get out the door, grab your muffin on the way to work, and you're on time. You have successfully managed the project, or have you? You got to work on time. We were there for 8 o'clock as for expectations. So we're on time. But were we on budget? I'd like to suggest not. We took dollars out of our pocket to pay for the kids' lunch. We took more dollars out of our pocket to buy the muffin on the way to work to cover our own breakfast. So we were substantially over time or over budget. Were we to specification? That could be argued. We got to work on time. If that was our main criteria for being successful, then we were to specification. If our main criteria for being successful was getting to work on time, having a warm, hearty breakfast at home, and ensuring the kids had a nutritious lunch packed by you, then we're not to specification. But that's what project management is all about. You do it each and every day. Getting to work on time, getting homework done with the children, getting other activities done are all mini projects. The big difference between these mini projects and large complex projects that you're going to take on in the work environment is the size and the magnitude, the amount of tasks required in the project plan. Here, our getting to work on time had a total of 7 tasks. Projects we deliver in a work environment can have hundreds to thousands of tasks. Here, our budget was $10 or something equivalent. Projects we deliver in work can be tens to hundreds to millions of dollars. Specifications, relatively simplistic again. Getting to work on time, maybe the hot breakfast, maybe the nutritional lunch. Business specifications for projects are going to be very large, very complex. But project management is project management is project management. The project management activities you took on to get to work on time are really no different than the project management skills and methods that you would apply on a continual basis in a business environment. The difference is the magnitude, the application. So the good news is, going into this Nugget series on project management and preparing for and passing your PMP, you have inherent knowledge of the skills and the methods required to be successful as project management. You do it every day. What I hope to accomplish with you through this Nugget series is to ingrain, to solidify, to make those skills and methods second nature. You need to apply the skills and methods for project management for each and every activity in your project. Let's take that back to our getting to work on time. At the very beginning, the alarm rang and you were tired. Successful project management does what we just did. You reviewed the task list. You assessed what you could change to allow you to modify the time. You made the conscious decision that breakfast was going to be removed, that it was going to be a muffin on the way to work. You modified the project plan, and you began to execute it. That's good, successful project management. Unfortunately, what happens most times, not just for getting to work on time, but in real life, is you get a project challenge, you want to sleep in, you don't think through the ramifications, you don't assess what can be changed, you simply hit the snooze button and decide, oh, I'll deal with the problems later. That's not the successful application of the skills and methods of project management. That's crises management. So, analyzing the situation, you want to hit the snooze button, determining what you can change in the plan to allow you to take that action is good project management. That's where we'll be at the end of this Nugget series. We'll review, we'll analyze, we'll assess the impact of project reality. You need to sleep in, and we'll make conscious decisions on changes we'll make. That's good project management. Bad project management is hitting the snooze button and deciding, I'll deal with it later. That's crises management. By the end of the Nugget series, I'm hopeful, I expect, I believe, you won't be doing crises management. You'll be doing successful project management day in, day out, in your private life, getting to work on time, and in your professional life, delivering projects successfully for your company. So what is a project? If we're focused on defining project management is focused on a project. Projects are very unique. Projects are very special. Projects are not ongoing operations in a company. Projects are not receiving orders from customers and shipping product. Projects are not routine maintenance, managing the finances for the company. Projects are special. The main definition of projects can be summed up in these 4 areas. A project is temporary. A project is taken on, achieves its purpose, and then is eliminated. Temporary is a relative term. Projects can be getting to work on time, which was 1.5 hours. Projects can be 5 days long. Projects can be 6 months long. Projects can be 6 years long, such as very large, very complex construction projects. But they're still temporary. They've been taken on to achieve a purpose, 6 years for a major construction project, and then it goes away. Projects have an absolute defined purpose. Projects result in a final result that has a purpose. Getting to work on time, something, achieving a new system for your company, building a new construction project, a new highway, the big dig, putting tunnels under the city of Boston. Very defined purpose. I think it's obvious from this description that a project is temporary. It's going to have a defined beginning, the start date. A project must have a defined end. It must end. If a project never ends, it never achieves its purpose. Or, what I find happens most often, the project truly never ends because the purpose keeps changing. As a project manager, we want to ensure that we achieve the original purpose for the project, that our project ends, and the project is then completed. But what happens if the business purpose changes? If originally we took on a project to deliver X, and that X said the project will end in 6 months. The scope, the magnitude, the effort to deliver X says it's going to take 6 months. But partway through, X becomes X prime. It receives some modifications to the business specifications change, so therefore our purpose for the project changes. When we get a change in the purpose, the project's end date must change. So now we should have an end prime, which is the modified end date. A little later into our project, X becomes X, if there's such a thing as X double prime. And then it becomes Y. And then it becomes Z or Z. As the project changes, one of 2 things must happen. One is the end date must keep changing to reflect the changing in the business purpose. Or what I would like to suggest we need to do is we try to meet the original end date, and we deliver a project that satisfies the original X. And then we start what I call project phase 2. And with phase 2, we satisfy X prime. And phase 2 has a begin and an end. And then we start phase 3, which satisfies X double prime. And then we start phase 4, which satisfies the Z requirements. Why do I distinguish? Why do I suggest we should be initiating new projects for every significant change in the project's purpose? It allows us to achieve the original end date, which means phase 1 implemented X in 6 months. By implementing X in 6 months, the business is going to achieve some benefit. X is now in place. The original business purpose for which the project was undertaken, that X satisfies, is now in place, and the business is getting benefits. We then start a new project called phase 2 to deliver X prime, and 2 months later, so a total of 8 months, X prime is delivered, and more business functionality, more business benefit is delivered to our company, and on through X double prime and Y and Z and so on and so on. The net of it is, by the time we're all done, maybe 24 months have passed, and all of this business requirements have been satisfied. How is that different than simply letting the project grow and eventually coming to a 24-month termination over here, by not trying to achieve the original end date, by not trying to satisfy the original purpose for the project, nothing is implemented. The project just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. No implementation, no business benefit, nothing is satisfied. The business doesn't get any benefit until final implementation, final conclusion 24 months later, where with trying to stick to the original purpose, the original method, the original end date, we get some functionality, not complete, I realize that, but some functionality, some business benefit happens in 6 months. More business benefit happens 2 months later at 8 months, and so on and so on. So we get incremental benefit. We allow the project to begin and end, and the business achieves benefit. The business sees purpose, the business sees closure, and the project sees purpose, the project sees closure. And the perception is something was delivered. This is truly a project that delivers, satisfies results, and then goes on and satisfies more requirements and more requirements. The perception is the project completed, benefits were realized, as opposed to this scenario, which is the traditional scenario for projects, and this is the project that never ends. It just goes on and on, my friend, and the business begins to get disheartened. Is this ever going to end? Am I ever going to get benefits? And so on. So where possible, try to deliver your projects to the original purpose. Try to achieve the original beginning and end dates for your project, even if it means that you're launching phase 2 and phase 3 and phase 4 for subsequent add-on functionality. Our last definition to a project is it requires human and other resources. Because it's temporary, you need to ensure that you have provided to you the human, the team, and the other resources, the materials, the supplies, the equipment that you need to deliver your project. You can't deliver the project alone. Project managers are not the only components to a project. You need the team, you need the other resources, the equipment, the supplies to deliver the project. And because the project is temporary, because it is an end date, you must have processes in place to return the team members, to return the equipment and the resources and the materials back to the corporate asset pool at the end of the project, so that those assets, those resources, those pieces of equipment can be redeployed and reused for other projects, for other activities in the company. So that's what a project is. It's temporary. It has an absolute purpose. We need to stick to achieving beginning and end dates, and we need to ensure that we have the appropriate resources, the team, and the equipment to satisfy our project, and that the team and the resources are returned to the corporate asset pool at the beginning, as opposed to what I've seen happens at times. The assets simply were allocated to the project, and then they begin to sit on desks, under desks, on bookshelves, and become dusty because somebody says, oh, that used to be used by Steve's project 3 years ago. I don't know if they still need it or not, but I better not touch it just in case. You need to ensure you have the process in place to return the assets, to get them off of the bookshelves, to allow someone else in your organization to begin to use those assets. Obviously, we all want to be successful as project managers. We want all of our projects to be a success. There's been a lot of research done, a lot of reports written on what the key success factors for projects are going to be. And these are the generally defined, generally well-respected success criteria for a project. In order for a project to be successful, it absolutely needs a well-defined scope. We need to know what it is. We need to understand the purpose. It must be clearly and succinctly defined so that the project can be initiated and can deliver and satisfy the purpose, the scope. If the scope is not well defined, the project definition will not be well defined. The next key success factor identified is the project must have a sponsor. The project must have someone in the business with the need, with the power, with the authority, and most importantly, the budget to ensure the project gets the resources, gets the funding that it needs to be a success. Projects without budgets are not going to get the resources that they need. The project needs to have the will to succeed. And that will to succeed, again, needs to come from the sponsor. I often describe it, in order for a project to be a success, the project must have, or the sponsor must have pain. The sponsor must have some business challenge, some business issue, some business opportunity that your project is going to eliminate, to satisfy, to improve. That's the will to succeed. The sponsor must be committed. The sponsor must want the project to be a success. The project will eliminate their pain, so therefore there is the will to succeed. With these actions in place, we need formal approval. It's wonderful to say we have a sponsor which has the authority, or who has the authority, the power, the budget, and the will to succeed. But without senior management approval, without senior management buy-in that this is a good financial investment for the company, again, the project is not going to get the support that it needs. One thing I would like to point out with these success factors, if you look at these success factors, there's no technical skills. There's no special equipment. There's no detailed team knowledge. These are all important. The project will need these elements to be a success, but they are deemed to be not as critical to overall project success as these fundamental business-rooted project success factors. Because the scope, the sponsor, the budget, the will, the approval have nothing to do with the details of project delivery. They have everything to do with the definition of the project. And with the project properly defined, we can then go through and find the skills, the equipment, the detailed team knowledge required to satisfy that. Or if we don't have the technical skills, the special equipment, the detailed team knowledge, we can grow. We can train. We can buy these components that are necessary to actually deliver the project. But without these definition steps in place, the project does not have the definition that it needs to be successful. Project managers need to focus their attention on these fundamental components of getting a well-defined scope, ensuring that they have an empowered sponsor, that the budget is approved, and that the sponsor has the will, the commitment, the desire to make the project a success. And if all of these are in place, believe it or not, all the technical details to satisfy the project with a little bit of good project management will fall into place, and your project will be success. This Nugget series on project management is based on the Project Management Institute, General Accepted Best Practices for Project Management, and is focused on preparing you to pass your project management professional exam to become a PMP. So PMI, what is it? It's the Project Management Institute. It's an international, not-for-profit, primarily group of volunteers focused on project management best practices. PMI is a very large, very well-respected, I believe it is the industry standard for project management best practices. Those project management best practices are delivered in the PMBOK, the Project Management Body of Knowledge. This Nugget series is based on the PMBOK. The Project Management Professional Exam itself is based on the application of the PMBOK. So good project management best practices come from PMI, which is an international not-for-profit organization primarily staffed with volunteers whose focus is on the dissemination, the delivery of project management best practices, and these come to us in the form of the PMBOK. This Nugget series is based on the PMBOK 3rd edition, released in 2005, and it is an absolute definitive volume on project management best practices, which will be measured and tested if you go and challenge the PMP exam to be certified as a PMP professional. So how does the PMBOK guide define project management? The PMBOK guide defines project management with 9 knowledge areas. And these knowledge areas are scope, time, cost, quality, human resources, communications, risk, procurement, all fully integrated in a total project delivery environment. Through this Nugget series, we will examine in great detail what is involved with successful scope management, with successful time management, with successful cost, quality, human resource, communications, risk, procurement management, and define how this is all integrated together to ensure successful project delivery. The integration is critical. If, as a project manager, your focus is on cost, on the budget, and not on the other components, your project is going to fail or will most likely fail. If you're focused on time and costs and ignore the other components, again, your project will most likely fail. It needs to be a fully integrated, total project view addressing the scope, the time, the cost, the quality, the human resources, the communications, the risk, and the procurement actions fully integrated into the total project picture. In this introductory nugget to project management and PMP preparation, we focused on what project management is all about. We focused on the application of the skills, the 9 knowledge areas, defined in the PMBOK guide, and the application of those 9 knowledge areas, the application of proper scope management, of proper time management, of proper cost management, and so on, as defined in the PMBOK guide, to ensure that our projects deliver on time, on budget, to specification. And that's what we're going to be measured on. In order to ensure our projects are success, it's critical that we have executive support. Without the properly empowered sponsor, without the approval from senior management, without the budget approval from senior management, the business involvement is not going to be there and the project is not going to be a success. Without full business involvement, the project is being delivered to satisfy a specific business requirement. We need full business involvement to ensure that the results of the project are truly going to satisfy their requirements. We need to understand the application of good project management skill sets. And finally, we need to have well-defined requirements. And with all of that in place, we're going to successfully deliver our projects on time, on budget to specification. Through this Nugget series, we will focus on the skills involved with delivering the projects on time, on budget to specification, so that when you're in a project delivery situation, it will become second nature. Oh, before I take this action, I need to assess the impact on. I need to communicate. I need to deal with my team issues. I need to. This becomes second nature. Ensuring that the skills, the ability to react properly under project delivery pressures, because you will have project delivery pressures, is what you do first, as opposed to the reaction, getting into reaction mode and not properly managing the project. This concludes our nugget on what is project management. I hope this video has been informative for you, and thank you very much for viewing.